If anyone has any questions, please ask. I was just having a little chat with Ajahn. It followed by one or two Thai friends who had mentioned in one of the Thai discussions had been transcribed, and there were one or two points that Ajahn had mentioned. There were one or two errors. For example, there was a reference to 18 rupees instead of 17 rupees. But some people wouldn't like to change it or question it or check it. And the point is that it has to be one's own understanding. One cannot just transcribe or repeat exactly what one has heard and without any questioning or any understanding. And I also, as Alberto is there, I just mentioned to Alberto, in the transcription about Manokarma, there were one or two points that can easily be misunderstood. For example, at the end, you transcribed, Ajahn says, when one intends to kill and the killing is done, that is Manokarma, no matter through speech or body. But actually the point is that it's only when it's intending with deliberate planning, not sudden, quick killing, like when an animal kills another animal, then it is not Manokarma. So we have to understand the context carefully. And another example was that it said earlier, so lobha or any akusala in the mind-door process is Manokarma because it is not sense-door jhavana. But again, the context is really important. Here, it has to be referring to karma through body and speech, karmapata, because in the sense-door jhavana, it can be Manokarma because lobha, any akusala, can arise in the sense-door process, and then it is Manokarma. So anyway, these are just examples of how when just repeating the words or transcribing what Ajahn or anyone else has said, one has to consider very carefully, and the context is very important. And it's not just a matter of the words, but the understanding. Perhaps Ajahn may like to add a bit more on this topic.
Because just one word is explained in different aspects, in different texts. That's why when we just talk anything in general, we have to say that vitaka arises with each citta, but each what it's meant, not together with the 10 cittas, which sees and hears, for example.
Just while we're on this topic, it's not directly related to the point that Sarah's raised, but I'd like to clarify my understanding that there's not actually any significance for the person following the path as to whether a particular instance of Dhamma is through a particular doorway or not, through mind or body or speech. I'm aware there's a sutta in which the Buddha points out that Manokamma is more serious than, can be more serious than bodily Kamma through the body. But Ajahn may like to elaborate or correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not, it has no significance for us as to whether any Dhamma being performed is through one doorway or another. And it's not something that is to be known. It can't be known by direct experience. It can only be deduced by thinking about the considerations that we've been discussing.
When we talk about the kusala kamma, akusala kamma, and when we talk about kamma patha, another word, see the difference between patha when it has done to condition its result.
The reason I made this comment is that people tend to say that they find this subject quite difficult to comprehend, as though there is some need to figure out which kamma is through which doorway.
Even kamma is still I. So we have to understand from the very beginning what is not I, which is kamma. A reality, a cetasika, but there are so many different realities. Which one is kamma? That's all. That's why understanding kamma, kamma patha, and kamma pacaya more and more, a little more. Just to let go the idea of self. Because how many times we have heard about no self, no one, but still each reality is taken for I, the 5 khandas. So when we talk about khanda again, we have to understand it. Not the group, but each one which arises in false way is a khanda. See, that's why learning to understand the deep meaning of each word about reality, even khanda.
So when you say that's the significance or importance of knowing more about kamma and kammapata, what are you referring to there in knowing kamma?
Can we say kamma, cetana, cetasika arises with each citta? See, it's kamma. As kamma pacaya. And when it arises with other moment, more than that. Yeah.
And similarly, when the suttas talk about kammapata, again, for the individual, it's not possible to know any moment of whether it's kammapata or not.
And the point is to understand whatever is now appearing is only a reality. And each moment is different by conditions.
Again, many people have questions about whether something is kammapata or not. And I think it stems from a perception, an idea that it's important to know, perhaps so that it can be avoided. So that, but I think this is not actually in accordance with what the Buddha taught.
So they are interested to understand kamma in details, but is there now kamma? They don't know. And what is better? Understand the truth of this moment, or just try to find out about the word like kamma and kammapata and kammapacaya. But what is there now? Is there kamma, which is vipaka by kammapacaya. It's kamma, but the nature of it when it arises with seeing is vipaka.
So Achan, at the moment of seeing is still called kamma pacaya.
Call or to know or to understand that there is a reality,
Yes.
which is the characteristic of coordinating. Kamma, it works. It conditions everything to finish their function, to be the cause, to condition result or what.
But because it's a vipaka,
It's
Again,
karma paccaya every moment in life. It doesn't matter whether it's vipaka, kusala, kiriya.
Yes.
There has to be the sahajata karma paccaya at every moment,
Yes.
because it arises with the citta and other cetasikas performing its function. The cetana is karma.
Karma. So it's a karma pachaya also. Sorry.
Like I just said.
Yes.
that's why just one moment of hearing about whatever we are talking about is not enough. We have heard a lot about karma, and then karma paccaya and kaya karma, vaci karma. But understanding the nature of that reality, karma, in order to understand, no matter whatever it arises, it is karma paccaya for sure. But by different conditions arising with what kind of citta.
Is there any other cetasika as a karma pachaya or only cetana?
Sorry. But
Yes.
think about a reality. We use the word intention as much as we know, but it's not just what we take for intention. It's a reality arising and performing its function no matter at any time. It coordinates whatever is there to perform their functions.
Can any other reality in life except for intention, cetana, be karma paccaya?
I don't know.
What
Sorry.
can any other reality be karma?
I just learned that's only cetana.
Yes.
Yes.
So only intention now can be karma.
Karma pachaya.
Can be karma that conditions, yes, by way of karma. I
Thank
just
you.
want to say hello to those who've just joined at home, including Lucy. Good to see you again, Lucy. And one or two of our friends are not familiar with Pali terms. So if we use Pali terms, please translate them for everyone's convenience. Lucy, you were listening a little the other day to in the Chinese discussion. Is there anything you would like to, any topic you would like to bring up or ask about?
Yes, it was quite a, thank you for asking, Sarah. Thank you for having me. This is very new for me and very deep for me. So the listening, I found myself kind of coming in and out of the listening, but I couldn't help but think all the way through the teaching, if we were using the concept of non-duality and duality, and was it just the matter of using the conceptual mind in order to understand the different realities? Were we not just really talking about non-duality in terms of the Buddhist non-duality?
Perhaps you could explain, Lucy, what you understand by non-duality, because that's a term that we are not particularly familiar with.
Okay.
Right.
I think what I mean there is more the absolute realm, where one has transcended the relative or the samsaric. So the absolute, where there is no beginning and no end. It's fluid. There is time doesn't, like timelessness, timelessness, time. It's that transcendence into the nature of mind. I guess I found it a little bit difficult.
I can.
Sorry, I just
start. Go on.
I was just going to say, I found the teaching a little bit challenging for me, because I'm used to different ways of explaining things because of the Dzogchen teachings. The Tibetan has a different way of explaining the realities and the conditioned realities
So I think
and
you can assume, for the most part, we're talking about just the present moment and
okay.
the reality of the present moment. This, what you called, I think, the samsaric world, the world that we all know and are familiar with,
Yes.
and not anything transcendental, unless there is talk about enlightenment, because that is the one term that implies consciousness of a different kind altogether to the one that you and I and everyone else is experiencing it in this lifetime.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. Thank you, Jonathan.
And the aim of the discussion of the Buddha's teaching is to understand more about the true nature of this world that we are living in. We're not trying to understand what the world beyond might be like, but just to understand how things are at their present moment.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
So we're using words for convenience. For example, now we're talking about the seeing now, seeing consciousness. And we have to use words to explain what it is. But the words are pointing to the reality, the truth at this very moment. So at this moment, as Jonathan said, there is nothing transcendental, but there are moments of seeing, moments of hearing, moments of thinking, no wishing or trying to have any other experience, but just beginning to understand what is here and now in order to understand that actually there is no one here, no one that sees, no one that hears, no one that thinks, just different realities which arise by conditions and experience an object, and those realities that arise that don't experience anything, such as what is seen, the sound that is heard, what is smelt, what is tasted. So there are two kinds of realities, those which experience an object, which we call namas, and those which don't experience anything, which we call rupas. So the point of the Buddha's teachings is to understand more about the truth at this very moment.
And just to supplement a bit further what I said earlier, and picking up on from what Sarah has said, although we are talking about the present world, the present moment, and the realities thereof, yet there are things that we know that do appear to us to be known, and there are other aspects of the present moment that are not known to us. And this is important. So when we have an idea of seeing people and things, that is not so much the moment of actual seeing as the moment of thinking about what has been seen, because what is seen is visible data, much like what is heard through the ear door is audible data, and it's the thinking about the audible data that conceptualizes words and meaning from the sound that impinges on the ear. And those actual moments of pure sense or experience are not known to us. And that obviously there's the consciousness that experiences at the visible or audible data, and there is the visible or audible data that is itself experienced. These are essentially not known to us. We assume that they are there, but they're followed immediately by so much thinking that all that appears is the conceptualized experience of those things. So it's the present world, but it's aspects of the present world that are not presently apparent to us, as well as what is apparent.
who weren't here the other day, Lucy is a friend of ours from Sydney. So she tried to join one day last week, but there was a confusion about the time. And then she joined the Chinese discussion. Yes. So the point is, what is there now? What is the truth now? What is the reality now? So if you were asked, and you are being asked, what is there now? What is life at this moment? How would you answer, Lucy? I think you're muted. You need to switch on.
I'm experiencing the moment now based on my conditioning. So I'm interpreting a series of sound, whatever's coming through my senses, in terms of that's affected by my conditioning or my karma. So that's how I would interpret that. So if I have had, you know, a trauma in the past, for example, and I'm seeing something that you know, reminds me of that event or something like that, something as simple as that, my conditioned mind will create an emotion because I'm thinking about how that's making me feel. It's probably a really bad way of explaining it, but I'm not experiencing it in terms of its purest form. It's not, you know, I'm placing my thinking mind on all of the realities around me.
And you just mentioned experiencing the present moment in its purest form. We use the term absolute
yes,
form or fundamental form here. So if you hear mention of absolute reality, for example, it means one of those fundamental phenomena which about which we conceptualize to build up our picture of people and things.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Zita, do you have any comments? Zita also lives in Australia and she's also listening by Zoom.
Hello. Not directly to what you've said, Lucy, but on sort of the same line, I've been reading the comprehensive manual of Intl.Dhamma and the compendium of the process freed. Now, this might sound like double Dutch to you, Lucy, I don't know, but I want to read out a little thing and ask about realms that we end up in. Okay, so the reason why a living being is reborn into a particular realm is because he has generated in a previous life the Dhamma that leads to rebirth into that realm. And thus, in the final analysis, all the realms of existence are formed, fashioned, and sustained by the mental activity of living beings. That to me is, it sounds to me like the Jitta and Jeta Seeker creates these realms. Would that be correct? I'm not expecting you to answer it, Lucy, unless you want to. Okay. Maybe John.
I just explained to Lucy briefly. So Chitta means consciousness. At each moment in life, Chitta arises and falls away, one moment of consciousness after another. Seeing is a moment of consciousness. Hearing is a moment of consciousness. Thinking is a moment of consciousness. We think I am experiencing, but actually it's the consciousness, the citta itself, which experiences. And it's accompanied by cetasikas, which, as Ita referred to, these are the different mental factors that arise with the citta. For example, attachment, liking is a mental factor that arises with citta. Understanding is another one. So many, many different mental factors. And when we think of different realms at this moment of thinking, what is the reality? The reality is just the thinking. If there's no thinking of another realm, if there's no thinking of Australia, where is the realm? Where is Australia? If there's no thinking of my home, where is my home? So we're talking about different realities, which we refer to by way of convenience as home, Australia, different realms. But in truth, there are just the arising and falling away of the cittas, the cetasikas, and the rupas, those realities that don't experience anything. Perhaps Ajahn may like to add more.
Is it real now?
Is it what, Ajahn? Sorry.
Is there a realm now?
Or is it now a realm?
Well, in my thinking, there's realms, but in reality, it's just realm would be just rupas.
So what is a realm?
The realm, well, what I've been reading, the realm is where the jittas and jettasika, the consciousness and the mental factors arise.
So is it now?
Yes, it's now.
Mm-hmm.
They're rising now.
Yeah, no doubt about realm. No matter what realm.
It's a really hard one, and I know there's a lot of thinking and concepts about it, but the factor that the thing I picked up in it was that jittas and jetasikas create the realm.
What do you mean by create? If it
well, for example, now, take now. I think I'm looking at you on the computer, but it's a concept. So the realms appear to be concepts because, oh dear, there's something missing here. The jittas and the jetasikas arise and fall away. And
if citta and jettasika does not arise, is it a realm? No realm? Or a realm?
If there's no jittas and jetasikas, there's no realm.
So what is realm?
Must be the objects of those jittas and jetasikas.
Without that which arises and experiences an object, can there be any realm?
No.
So now what is it? The realm? The world?
It's conceptual.
No.
It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. Okay. I think that's
just the same as when we talk about the world. What is the truth of the world now? We use the concept of world or the concept of realm, but the world at this very moment is the seeing, what is seen, the visible object, the reality right now, which arises and falls away just for a moment. So it's a world just for a moment, realm just for a moment, just the reality at this very moment. If there's no citta and cetasika now, no realm, no world. So it's not the idea, the microphone, the table, the computer, the story. It's the actual reality itself.
Okay. Yes, I understand what you're saying. And I guess I just, there was something else. I can't. I think that's probably all I need to know. No, it's not actually. Do those realms exist without Jeta-seeker? Are there realms without jitters and Jeta-seekers?
The realm where Narsanya, Neva-sanya, Narsanya, where no Chitta and Cheta-seeker arises, only Rupas arise, but the last Chitta of the life before conditions the first Chitta of the following lifespan. But for all intents and purposes, without Chitta and Cheta-seeker, there's no life, no realm, no existence.
Okay.
Another way we could consider this question, Azita, is that it is said that the human realm and the animal realm are different realms. And yet animals and humans, as we know, occupy the same physical places, as we know from experience. So we have to think of realm as being something that's not tied to a particular physical structure. So it's the kind of consciousness rather than the place. Rather than think of it as a place, think of it as a kind of consciousness.
Okay. Right, because Dhamma causes rebirth in different realms, doesn't it? So there's jitters and Jeta-seekers. I think what Sarah just said a moment ago, in that is it the Asanya-sutta realm, where there's no nama.
Talking about birth in different realms, for example, the animal realm or the human realm, we're just talking about the nature of the birth consciousness conditioned by past karma, and the birth consciousness in our realm for us is different from the patisandhi in the animal realm. In the animal realm, no roots. It's a result of unwholesome karma, whereas the patisandhi in this realm is a result of wholesome karma, for example. But it's still just referring to the chitta itself, the chitta and the Cheta-seekers.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a long story about ghost realms and animal realms and this and that.
Exactly.
But actually, the realm is at this very moment, the chitta right now. And the seeing now, whether it's the seeing at this moment in this realm or the seeing in Japan or the seeing in the animal realm, it's still just the reality of seeing. And we talk about the Lokuttara, the enlightenment chittas, of being in another realm because they experience another object, which is not the worldly object. But still, it's just referring to chitta and Cheta-seekers.
Right. Okay, I think that's enough for me to take in.
You can come back to it afterwards.
I think it just points to the fact that it's the truth is really, really subtle. And although, I go ahead and I think, yes, I understand this. No, there's so much more so much more to understand and to know. So, yeah, these explanations have been quite helpful. Thank you.
About the result of jhana chitas and the birth in jhana realm. But again, it's referring to particular chitas, and there are not jhana chitas arising all the time. There are also kamavachra chitas arising, just like we can call this the sense realm, but there may be conditions for other kinds of chitas to arise, but it's still just coming back to one chitta at a time.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I think Anne.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, John's.
So what realm now?
It's Jetasika and Rupa.
What
now.
realm?
This realm, the sensuous plane realm.
The seeing, hearing, the kama realm.
Kama Vachara Bhumi.
Kama Bhumi.
Kama Bhumi. Kama Bhumi. Okay.
For those who are not familiar with Pali terms, Kama here is not the same as Kama. Kama here refers to sensuous experience, because there are realms where there are no or limited sensual experience. And for example, when wholesome mind states are developed to a very high degree, to the attainment of jhana, that is another realm of consciousness, and there are no sensed or experiences. So that is not a kama vachara. And just to relate this to our earlier discussion about duality and non-duality, that jhana realm is another realm, different realm from the present one. Its development needs understanding, but the understanding is not of the nature that leads to enlightenment, because it doesn't understand the true nature of the reality of this realm, of the present moment. It just understands about developing more wholesome mental states and subduing the unwholesome mental states.
So what realm for next birth?
No idea.
After death now. What
No.
realm?
Just more Jetasikas and Rupa, I guess.
Is there condition to be born in other realm?
Well, I can't say for sure, but I who knows? I think there would be conditions for rebirth anywhere. No, not in. I wouldn't think high jhanic planes. No, I don't know. To answer that question, I don't know. I don't know.
Depending on the cause, as long as it's not degree of jhana, citta, it has to be the room of kama again.
Thank you.
And Maeve have both got their hands up to speak, and Anne's also waiting. So we've got a bit of a queue here. Okay, Lucy, go ahead. You get priority as you're new here, and then Maeve, and then Anne.
I have a very quick question. It's probably very silly, but I'm hearing that there is a single consciousness, but many realities. Is that right? How many realities are we talking about here? Thousands or a handful?
We're talking at any moment in life, one moment of consciousness at a time, accompanied by at least 7 mental factors. At moments of seeing or hearing, they're accompanied by 7 mental factors, such as the mental factor that contacts the object, the feeling, the concentration that focuses just on that one object, and so on. At other moments, more mental factors are needed. And at any moment in life, there are countless groups of rupas, physical phenomena arising and falling away. But, for example, at the moment of seeing, only the visible object impinges on the eye sense and is experienced by the seeing. Other rupas which may arise together with that rupa, with that visible object rupa, they arise, they fall away, but only the visible object is experienced. So what we're talking about is actually understanding what appears, what can be known. So the visible object is seen, so it's not of interest that there is hardness conditioning that visible object at that moment, because only the visible object is seen, only the visible object can be known at that time. So many different phenomena, many different realities, and rising and falling away, but what can be known, what is experiencing and what is experienced at this moment is what is important.
And I think the interesting thing arising from your question, Lucy, is that in daily life, the material phenomena that are experienced are relatively few. So just the visible data that appears to the eye, to seeing, the audible data that appears to hearing, and the data through the other sense doors, that is nose, tongue, set of smell and taste, and the body sense, which experiences temperature, heat or cold, and hardness or softness or motion. And that is the world and the consciousness that experiences those realities, those phenomena. And that's what makes up the world as we know it, the outside world, just those handful of material phenomena from which we conceptualize the whole of the physical world that is our daily life.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Sarah.
Maeve,
Just
also lived in Australia.
Yes, hello everybody. See everyone. Just a follow up from the realm discussion. Whenever I hear, well, for example, the hell realms mentioned, I tend to think in terms of simply states of mind, so that we talk about being reborn into a hell state, but it seems that here in this realm, in this incarnation, that it's quite possible to experience a hellish state by, say, sustained dosa or anger, aversion, almost an unrelenting mental state. It seems to me to be equal to anything that is described as a kind of an ongoing place where one is reborn. So this is not it doesn't necessarily have that same more lasting quality, but it does come back to it being very much a mental experience. I'm not sure, and I suppose my question is, does that thinking align with what we've been discussing? That it's a mental state. Hell is a mental state.
I think there can be two kinds of hell that can be known in daily life. Like you say, the extreme dosa. You couldn't even say extreme lobha too, when one's totally lost in the great passion and great lobha. It's like a terrible affliction. And also, but usually we think of the extreme anger, for example. And what about also when there's great physical pain? So the Vedana, the physical Vedana, experiencing its object, the painful feeling, which can be so overwhelming and excruciating. So this is also kind of hell at that moment, those moments of strong pain. But it's also just for a moment. Whatever arises is just for a moment. So there can be understanding what is hell at those moments too.
Yes, I suppose I'm also thinking that part of the hellishness of the experience is that karmically there are not the conditions for reflection on that experience as being, as you've said, just a momentary experience. There's a thinking which locks into this is permanent, this is how it will always be, etc., which exacerbates both the physical and the mental anguish.
Especially the taking it for I, my pain, my problem, my big woes, poor me. So of course the physical pain, which is also nama, the unwholesome, the unpleasant Vedana, which is the result of past karma, will still arise even for those who are fully enlightened. But the second kind that you referred to, the dosa with unpleasant feeling, this is not the result of karma, but the accumulated habit, the tendency, which will continue to arise until the clinging to sense objects has been eradicated.
I'd like to add, though, that the Buddha did posit that there were 31 realms of existence, that there can be rebirth in these various 31 realms. So it's not as if they are momentary in terms of experiencing, but they're also realms into which Jitta Jittasika can be reborn, if you want to put that way, such as animals. They talk about in the Tipitaka the Buddha having past lifetimes as an animal, say. And the same thing, or be born in the heavenly realm, like they talk about. He went to the heavenly realm to teach his mother about the Dhamma, etc. So there are these different realms, but in terms of our everyday existence and momentary, they really are superfluous.
Is there only this world? What about the other world? See?
Ajahn, do you mean the inner world?
So we are talking about hell, right? Is it this world or other world?
I think that was my question, Ajahn. Whether there is something separate to this world, although we can experience in this world, have similar experiences to, say, the hell state. So the question was, we can have that, like the extreme dosa, and as Sarah described, physical pain and the pain of ignorance in this life, in this world. And are you saying that there is something besides that? Because that was really my question.
For example, we think that this is our world, right? What about animal? It's animals' world too, or just human being?
I think, Maeve, we can say that whatever the realm, the same realities are experienced through the same sense doors.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, those realities vary as to shape and form. And also in the hell realm, we understand that the bodily injury that is sustained there would be sufficient to bring immediate death if performed in the human realm. But in the hell realm, there's not the relief of death from the torture. It just goes on and on. But it's still the same reality being experienced through the body door. And what is seen happening to other people in the hell realm is still just visible object appearing through the eye door. And the screams that are heard are just sound appearing through the ear door. Those screams, of course, are conditioned by consciousness as experienced for extremely painful experiences. So that has affects the shape and form, but not the actual nature of the sound that is being experienced.
So the nature of the hell realms is essentially the most extreme dukkha that is imaginable.
The most extreme dukkha. Yeah,
Okay.
of that, because we know there are different kinds of dukkha. So it's the most extreme in terms of painful bodily feeling. Yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to go way back to the earlier discussion about Dhamma. Cetana, with it in its function of organizing, coordinating the Cetasikas that arise with the citta, is that also a kind of conditioning the other, condition the arising of the other Cetasika? Gamma-paccaya. Oh, okay. Gamma-paccaya. That's what Hung was asking about.
Yeah.
So at every moment of life, even at moments of seeing and hearing, the cetana, we translate it as intention, arises together with the citta and cetasikas, and it has the function of coordinating,
right.
bringing together, like a head school boy, girl, that coordinates the other prefects and the other students to perform their tasks. That is the function of cetana at every moment of life.
Right.
So this is the first karma condition, karma-paccaya, that can only be performed by cetana, because that is its role.
But the gamma that gives rise to vipaka, that's gamma-pata, that is similar in that it's just stronger.
At those moments of very strong wholesome or unwholesome citas, kusala or akusala citas, when that cetana is strong enough to condition deeds, speech through the body, through on speech, it can bring results later. So this is another function of willing the deed, willing, we're talking about unwholesome karma here, willing the unwholesome deed or speech. So not just thinking angrily about what one's friend has said, but speaking out harshly and causing harm to the other person.
Right.
Not just thinking about taking the pretty object in the shop window, but actually stealing it, causing harm to those around, causing difficulty. So then at those moments, the cetana has the function of willing that deed. And that is the course of karma that can bring results by way of birth or other results during life.
And that's where
time later.
That's where karma sometimes gets the label intention, the willing.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, there's intention at every moment, but that is when
that's where it gets to
the willing.
And that's where, that's where people
and this is comes
get confused
back to
that it's me.
When we were talking about at the beginning. So there is mano karma, there is cetana with every kusala and akusala chitta, even in the sense door processes, but only when it is the karma that brings result.
Kamapata,
is it the kamapata? Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying.
Can we say that cetana performs the function harder when it arises with other cetasika, like strong lopa or strong dosa?
Did you say the function
of cetana coordinate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stronger, harder when it is accompanied by the other cetasikas, like very strong lopa, strong dosa. See, it works harder.
Okay, it works harder.
So it can be kamma of that degree.
Okay, can be kamma of that degree, and that
condition all to perform that function.
Right.
Strongly.
Okay, so that's the gamma aspect of it then. Okay, so it's stronger, and that would be the same with gamma that's strong enough. Like Sarah's example just now, looking at the pretty object in the window and stealing the pretty object. That would be stronger gamma there. That is gammapata.
When it's done.
When it's done, that's right, when the deed is done.
Through different ways.
Yes, yes.
We talk about this as nana kanika kamapachya. So the coordinating function at every moment is the sahajata, meaning arising together with kamapachya. And when it is conditioning that deed that can bring its result later, when the deed is done and when the result occurs, it has been conditioned by way of nana kanaka, which means another time, karma pachya.
Okay.
So it's the same reality, the same function, stronger and stronger, and it's accumulated. So just like the loba is accumulated, so the karma, the cetana is accumulated stronger and stronger, a little intention, a little thought of taking something, and then a little more, until it has accumulated to be of that strength to condition that deed. At which can bring result later.
So the vipaka that is seeing or hearing, that would be the result of not so strong gamma. From previous, it's not immediate.
We
That's
can't
right.
say, for example, the karma that in the past that conditioned the birth in this realm, in this human
You
life,
can't
the
determine which
result
it
of
is.
kusala karma. It doesn't just bring the result by way of birth. It can bring other results during lifetime, seeing, hearing,
Mhm.
different. We cannot work out exactly what
What it
result was conditioned by what, but we know that when it's seeing, which is the result of kusala karma, when it is kusala vipaka, then it is the result of kusala karma. When it is akusala vipaka, when it is the result of unwholesome deed, when an undesirable object is seen, then of course it cannot be the karma that produced the birth in this life.
No, you can never determine what karma produces what result. I guess I was asking killing. If there's been a killing, and let's say a killing of a human being, not the fly on the wall, but that, and you can't tell when that karma pata will complete. But I guess this is all thinking, isn't it? Is it a result of, it's an accumulation of the dosa that would bring that about. And the result, where am I going? Results, I guess what I'm saying is, does the result come about cumulatively? Like if there's stealing number of times, it becomes habitual. That would bring.
So the chaitanya itself accumulates, the dosa accumulates until it conditions such an act. And who knows when or if that act, that particular chaitanya will bring a result later.
Right.
It can't be now. It can't be.
As I asked the question, I realized it was unnecessary.
Is chaitanya at moment of killing? It's just right now. Or stronger.
Much stronger.
That's why it conditioned its result to be born in hell.
Okay.
Seeing accompanied by indifferent feeling, but bodily painful feeling, so strong, like chaitanya, which is as strong as conditioned killing.
As strong as?
And it depends on the person who is killed. To killing an arahata, killing a common person is different.
Just while there's a pause, I wanted to mention to Lucy that I've just been posting some glossary terms of what's been discussed.
What about chaitanya now? In what plane? It can condition birth.
Sensuous plane.
Who knows? Depending on the degree of chaitanya.
And yes, the accumulations, yes. Depends on the degree of, depends on accumulation of chaitanya, as much as a particular.
If we just talk about moment to moment, the moment of killing, and now it's different. Yes. So when it's a result of karma, which is killing, it conditions being born in hell or both of plane.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
And the chaitanya now, moments of understanding. Who knows whether it is strong enough to bring any results, whether if it's just a little understanding with weak chaitanya, it accumulates. But if that understanding is strong enough and the Chaitanya is strong enough, can bring its result.
And it will never be known.
As much as we know, it's kusala karma, condition, the birth in such and such plane, and akusala karma, different planes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Just a very quick comment, Sarah.
Oh, okay. Vincent, and
I
then
just want-
Lucy afterwards. Go ahead.
Okay, just we were reminded before, it's not I who is reborn.
When there is misunderstanding, taking whatever now as I, even at moment after that, when there is moment of experiencing, like thinking, it's I who think. Again, even it's not I, but it's taken for I at moment of seeing, hearing, thinking. And without any birth, can there be the moment of seeing? That's why after birth, karma condition, different moment, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and the accumulation condition, the moment of kusala or akusala, not vipaka, as the new cause. So before hearing the teachings about the absolute truth, what is born and who is born? Someone. And now who see? Exactly the same. Who sees? Who think? Who lack? Who doubt? All are different dhammas, but ignorance cannot understand the truth. And attachment is there, taking it for I, see, all the time. Now I'm thinking, right? Until right understanding is there. Sharper, wiser, to understand the truth. That's why we learn about the truth of this moment. What are the Citta is the chief experience and just the object. And the other Citasikas arising together perform their function. And Cetana is there for sure, one of the 7 Citasikas arising with each Citta.
Yes, so it's a good point that Vincent is stressing too, however many realms we talk about, for example, hell realm, animal realms, ghost realms, no, in truth, no being, no animal, no insect, just different citas, cetasikas and rupas, different mental and physical phenomena arising and falling away. No one, no animal, no being to be found in truth, just like now. Go ahead, Lucy.
I was just wondering then if someone has, what's the term I'm trying to find, excuse me, akusala, how do we purify ourselves? So how do we, what is it, just gaining more understanding, more sharpness, more wisdom, or how can we, if we have terrible karma, and bad things keep happening to us, how can we work to, I don't know, like purify some of the really negative, unwholesome conditioning that we've accumulated?
I'll give a brief answer to start with, and that is we need to, or can we distinguish between what is experienced in this life in terms of pleasant and unpleasant experiences and the the mental tendencies that we have in this life. That is the tendencies to be kind or cruel, the tendencies to be greedy or generous, and so on and so forth. So these are different kinds of realities, aren't they? What is experienced, what is seen, heard, smelled, tasted, and touched, and what happens in the world in terms of the ups and downs of the world, success or failure and what have you, are one thing. And the mental development or the quality of the mental states are another thing altogether. So your question, I think, is if we talk about purifying, we're talking about purifying the mental states, which is developing wholesome mental qualities. And one of which, or the most wholesome of which, is the understanding that sees the true nature of things at the present moment. And we learn to appreciate that this is independent of what might be happening to us in the world at a given moment, or the situation that is pertaining at the present moment.
I'm wondering how is meditation a significant, an important component of increasing our understanding so that we can quieten the busyness of our minds, and at least kind of, you know, if one is in a state of anxiety, stress,
So if the aim is understanding, then the anxiety or stress is the present reality that is to be understood. So there's no need to think in terms of wanting to be rid of that anxiety before there can be any understanding. So purification in the ultimate sense, I mean, there are different ways of understanding purification. Some people would take it as meaning just having wholesome mental states arising and no unwholesome ones. And for most people, they understand that to mean subduing the unwholesome ones by various practices and developing wholesome ones. But that is only a temporary kind of arrangement because it doesn't eradicate the accumulated unwholesome tendencies. It simply subdues them. And so what is unique to the Buddha's teaching is the development of understanding, which eventually has the function of cutting off all the accumulated tendencies that are unwholesome.
Thank you, Jonathan. Very good.
And the main point is, again, that it's not I. So it's not what I can do. So it's not I that purifies or I that develops more kusala to get rid of the akusala. We're talking about the understanding of the nature of different realities so that the understanding and kusala states develop naturally. So, as Jonathan said, we have to differentiate between what is the result of karma. For example, we mentioned earlier when there's very extreme bodily pain. So the bodily painful feeling is a result of karma. The seeing or the hearing is a result of karma. But the misery and the unhappiness whilst thinking about the pain, whilst thinking about the story about what happened to one when one was younger, for example, all of this is the accumulated akusala, the accumulated attachment, the accumulated ignorance, the accumulated aversion. The other day, someone was telling me about childhood difficulties, but what is the truth now? What is the reality now? Now it is not any difficulty except the torturing of one's mind, another kind of hell state, torturing oneself, one's mind by thinking again and again about what happened or what may happen, thinking with extreme unhappiness and anger about what happened in the past. So this is not the result of karma. This is the habit, the accumulation, and only understanding can begin to understand what is true now, what is seeing now, what is clinging now, what is dosa now, and begin to understand that these realities are conditioned, but not I. So the development of understanding is not to change anything or do anything, but accept and understand what is conditioned already. If there's painful bodily feeling, it's there anyway. They're trying not to have it. It's not going to make a difference, but it's actually just there for a moment and then gone. And the real problem, the real torture is the thinking about it, obsessing about it again and again. So understanding itself purifies, not I that purifies. Would you like to add anything, Ajahn?
It's now this moment of purifying.
Yes.
Purify what?
Yes. Ignorance.
Okay. So at moment of meditating, does it purify?
No, it's a tool to create the mental space to lead us to the understanding.
Is it moment of purifying, doing something, not understanding what is there as it is, as not self, not I am meditating? So we have to understand the truth of what it means, each word. For example, meditating or meditation. What is that? Not now, right? Or is it now?
I don't know.
See, and what is the difference? See? So what is moment of purifying ignorance? From moment to moment of understanding what is there now, which is so real. If it's not known as it is, ignorance is there. But the moment of hearing, understanding, little by little, it purifies the ignorance little by little until it's completely eradicated. Is it possible? Is it the teaching of the Enlightened One, showing the truth, the Four Noble Truth? What is true now, and what can be the way to directly experience the truth? Because the truth is true. The truth is the truth. Seeing has a reason, but no one knows that it has a reason, and it's gone, and no one knows. But there are other moments like hearing and thinking, on and on and on, together in between seeing, hearing. Each one is different. from the other. That's why seeing arises and fall away instantly. Is it true? Can it be learned to let go that seeing is not hearing? If seeing is not known and hearing is not known, I see and I hear all the time. And is this the development of understanding the truth of this moment and at the moment? The development of right understanding to realize the truth, the fourth of the Four Noble Truth, the way to realize the truth, not by not understanding anything about what is there now at all, because ignorance cannot understand the truth. And when it's there with ignorance, there is attachment to that object unknowingly. Even just a sound appearing, it's heard. The idea of what is that? See, what is that? It means it's something that we do not have any idea what is there. So the question is, what is that? What is that? Indicates that it's something which is not known. So we ask about it. So now, what is that?
Nobody knows.
Pardon? What
Nobody knows.
Really? Really? Or seeing, who knows that seeing sees? And the meaning of no one is that seeing just arises by conditions. It cannot perform any function because it's conditioned to arise to see, only see. Condition arises, condition the seeing to arise. Just condition seeing to arise. And as soon as it has arisen, no condition for it to stay on, it falls away instantly. Otherwise, how can there be letting go the idea of self or something here and there all the time? Whatever is there appearing, it's a condition to like it. There are conditions for a moment of ignorance and attachment. Where's the I? The I. Where's the I?
It doesn't exist. It's not there.
Until it appears as it is.
Yeah.
At moment of touching, is this I?
Yes.
It's hard. Can that which is hard be I? It's hard. Hard is hard. It cannot be anything else. And touching is there. Otherwise, hardness cannot appear at all. It appears only at moment of touching. Not thinking, not seeing, but at moment of touching. And what touches?
The body. I.
You touch an I, where's I? Hardness, and the reality which experiences hardness is there. Arise to experience hardness only. That's why hardness cannot be seen at all. Right? What is touched cannot be seen. So now, continue on. What is seen is not hard. Just one reality.
There is no I.
The moment of purifying ignorance.
Yeah. Thank you. Very profound. Thank you.
I liked your description of purifying ignorance. And it's interesting to consider what are the factors or conditions that enabled that to happen at this time. Because it's important to appreciate that the difference between the purifying of ignorance that comes about from considering or hearing a proper description of the reality of the present moment, and the situation where one is meditating and trying to replicate or to experience things and to have understanding. In the first situation, such as now, no one's trying to have understanding. We're just considering, in effect, the Buddha's description of the world of the present moment. And we are hearing things that we perhaps haven't heard before or haven't considered before, or even if we've heard it before, we forget about. But that is sufficient to enable some level of appreciation of the reality of the present moment, some level of understanding or purification to happen. And after this discussion is finished, there may or may not be some conditions to reflect upon what's been talked about. But in any event, if there's the thought of meditating to replicate or to have a similar kind of purifying result, it's really a case of the blind leading the blind, because ignorance cannot purify. And when we are trying to have understanding, that's ignorance. I mean, we can't help but, because understanding is not developed to such a high degree, it's really only ignorance motivating, or wrong view, desire for results motivating that.
Many points to consider, Lucy. And I think we're going to...
Very profound.
Yeah. You've been following very well. We all appreciate your interest, and thank you for joining us. We're going to pause for lunch, and we'll continue the discussion at 1:30 Bangkok time. So if you're free, please join us. This will be the last live